Good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you are in the world. As you can see, it is getting darker here by me, and even though I have three lights on in my office, it is still quite dark. Today, we have a beautiful discussion with Janice from Not a Diet UK, and we are going live with her now already. That was brilliant. Brilliant.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good, good. It's I'm only 1 hour behind you, so coming to the
Yes,
end of my
indeed. So,
workday.
fantastic. Saying that in South Africa it's starting to get darker earlier now because we're heading into our winter. So it's 6 p.m. here, and even though the lights on in my office, it's still looking quite dark on here. So, yeah, we're other way around from you guys.
It's the
But
opposite. Yeah, so for us it's now,
yeah,
so it's good.
fantastic, fantastic. What's the weather like where you're at?
To be honest, cold this week. So on Monday there was snow, but there's kind of coldness in April.
I was just going to say snow in April. That's a bit odd, but hopefully it means you're going to have a mild summer, not too hot. So yeah, that's good. But okay, I was just starting to introduce you. So for those of you who don't know, Janice Lowe runs a company called Not a Diet out of the UK. And I'm really intrigued by this discussion because it's right there in the name. This is not a diet. Okay, so that
Hmm.
and you obviously work as a nutritionist. But before we dive into that, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what got you started on this journey and what intrigued you to make you want to do this kind of work.
Sure. So my journey started really 5, 6 years ago when I graduated from my master's degree and then entered life as a working person. And although that 24 should be super like bright, shiny life in London, but I was so exhausted that it felt unreasonable to me that I wasn't living the life I thought I would at that age. So I started
Right?
looking at what went wrong, right? I'm not sick. I don't have any health conditions that leads to fatigue. And yet every single night when I get home from work, I would have dinner, fall asleep on the sofa at 8:30. Right? If I were like
Wow.
104 years old, I think that's acceptable. But at 24, it wasn't an acceptable lifestyle for me. So I was inspired to start going to the gym because I saw what it did for my brother, right? And I thought, okay, it's my big brother, I'm going to copy him. And because of that, I actually found my way into nutrition because everybody talks about it, right? 80% your results actually come from the kitchen, right? So,
Yes.
but I think so that was kind of my entrance into the world of being healthier because before that, I grew up never being, medically fat. Like I've always been skinny and slim. And so I never thought about it. But then when this fatigue came, I was really, I guess, shaken by it. So that was my entrance into this health and nutrition world. And what really got me to then, go and get trained and then go start a business to help busy people get healthy without using diets is because I became orthorexic in the first year of my own journey. So you would find me at the gym
Wow.
at 9 p.m., after work. I was working on by the way, for people listening, I do still have a 9 to 5 job, right? At the moment, I'm doing all of the things at once. And back then, my schedule was I would get to the office maybe 8, get home maybe, and
Hmm.
then go work out in the gym. I was doing this 6 days a week. I was lifting extremely heavy weights and I was on a very, very restricted diet. I was basically not eating carbs, apart from one day in the week.
Oh,
Now, in 8 months, I completely transformed my body. So energy wise, I was fine. Right? I was, um, I lost 14% body fat, right? And so it made me feel
That's a
good.
lot.
Yes. Um, I thought I would feel good. I didn't, right? I was scrolling on Instagram
Mm.
crying because I didn't look like those people. And that's where I knew something went wrong, right? And I think that's what really got me into thinking like, but hold on, it's supposed, so many people have said this works. How come it didn't work for me? So I went down the route of really looking at what are these diets about? Why, this is one thing I ask people all the time. If diets worked, we wouldn't have new ones, right? We would just have the one. So also combining that with the busy lifestyle of a working person in the corporate world, none of these diets actually fit my lifestyle, right? Things like keto. Keto, as an example, was originally developed to treat certain things, right? It's a medical treatment, actually. It's so hard to do it properly without harming your health, right? You hear about people eating loads of bacon on keto, like, come on, like whatever diet you're on, that's not going to be good for you if you have too much. That's where
Right.
I came up with the idea of naming my business Not a Diet, because I truly believe that this is a lifestyle thing. This is finding the right way of eating to suit your own lifestyle and your goals instead of having these labeled diets. Because willpower is limited, like it will run out. So unless you find something that
Yes.
actually works with your lifestyle, nothing is going to stick. So I hope that that tells you that and why I'm here today.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And it's so intriguing to hear someone say something that's actually been on my mind for the last couple of weeks, because I've been having my own sort of minor health issues. And the first thing I do is I pull out my Ayurvedic textbooks, because the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing that that they teach you is food should be medicine. You should really be making sure
Mm-hmm.
that what you're taking in is helping your body to heal and to make sure that it is able to treat itself, essentially, because the body is an amazing machine. It really is, and it can heal itself if it's given the right
Absolutely.
fuel to do so. But I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe we can then talk a little bit about this in terms of what you do. But in today's world, everybody's looking for the latest fad. And I like the fact that you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about, scrolling Instagram, seeing all these fitness models and what they look like. And I've even started to see a trend where fitness models are coming out and talking about how, they looked a certain way, where everybody was going, oh my gosh, you look so great, you look so incredible. And they go, but that was actually when I felt the worst. I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the pressure we're under, it's you do feel like you need a very cookie cutter approach. But in actuality, you really
Mm-hmm.
do need something that fits in with you and not just what everybody else is doing. So maybe you could walk us through a little bit about how you approach working with your clients.
So number one, I think I always tell my clients, right? Just like, on Netflix, you will have curated content, like suggested films that suit your needs. We are actually in full control to curate what we see, right? So I would suggest, there's nothing wrong with having certain fitness models as inspiration, but I would say
Mm-hmm.
don't let the appearance be the inspiration, let the journey be the inspiration, right? Because I think that's
Right.
much more powerful. Like, to me, health can be achieved in any lifestyle at any age, right? And it's really important to find when, let's say you're a 3-year-old kid, your role model is to become a fireman. Sorry, it's not going to happen within the next 5 years, right? So I
Right.
always recommend, instead of your goals aren't, so I do this actually for people attending the conference, they will have a light touch experience of this. I actually do almost like a guided meditation with them to help them visualize when you are at your best health, what does it mean to you? So it could be when I look in the mirror, I don't have bumps, or it could be I just walked up 10 flights of stairs and I'm not short of breath, or it could be I can run after my grandchildren, right? So I guess feel approach to what health means to someone, because that is where I find that we can get the strongest motivation. Because look, now we have wonderful things like Spanx, right? If you wanted to look a certain way in pictures, you don't need healthy. We have Photoshop, we have filters.
Right.
So yeah, I guess mainly with my clients, I really try to look at what does good health mean to them, and what does it actually look like or feel like to them, instead of, with my clients, we do body measurements just as a trend. Like, we just need to make sure we're on the right path. But I very rarely set goals for them. Like, okay, you need to lose 5 pounds or 5 kg. I don't really do that. And obviously with weight loss, it has to be at a sustainable pace. So I use these measurements for that purpose only, instead of using them as goals. I would much rather help someone get back into their favorite dress or suit than to measure them.
And I love that approach, because this was always my issue with my trainers. And I've had many trainers over the years and many nutritionists over the years where I've either been trying to put on weight or lose weight or whatever the case may be. And they would put me on these diets that I would start to get the results, but I didn't really feel great. And it was only in the last year or so that I took what I'd learned from everyone and kind of went, okay, I'm going to do what feels good for me. So I'm a fairly strong guy. I don't need to be lifting super heavy weights. I can do that once a week or once every 2 weeks if I wanted to. But I'm just going to focus on, actually decided I was going to do a lot of yoga and calisthenics. And I felt so good. And my diet, funny enough, I just actually started to change as a result. It wasn't even like a conscious decision. It was just that I craved things that were better for me. But I also, if on a Sunday morning I wanted a cup of coffee and my favorite donut, I wasn't going to be like, well, no, it's not cheat day today, so we're not going to do that. And just the mindset shift was so incredible, because now it wasn't restrictive. And the moment, especially for my particular type of person, I'm an Aries. So the moment you tell me I can't do something, that's when I'm like, well, no, I really, really, really want it. So I think that is so incredible that you are teaching people not to chase after, the weight loss, but rather the feeling. Because I've been at some of my heaviest weights where people have gone, oh, wow, you look really good. And I felt really good. And then dropped 2 kilos, but I felt awful because my fat content had gone up. And it's more the feeling as opposed to what weight you're at and what you're fitting into, and really how you're feeling, because that confidence, I think, does shine through. So that is really great. Now, the one thing I do want to ask you about is, because your kind of, I guess, claim to fame is you aim it at busy professionals, which, having worked in corporate for many years myself, I know what that's like. I mean, I used to get into the office, well, actually, I'd be in the gym by 5 a.m., at my desk by 6:30, 6:45 every morning, leaving the office at 7 p.m. at night, and that was 5 days a week. And it's like, this is insane. And then
sounds too familiar.
Right. I mean, I remember one day I got home and I was making dinner and I suddenly felt faint. And I'm like, why do I feel so dizzy? And it hit me that I hadn't eaten in 48 hours because I'd just been on the go. And when I saw your write-up about this is aimed at the busy professional, I was like, yeah, I can see how that would be important, because it's the easiest thing when you hit lunch break. And how often does that actually happen if you're super busy? And instead of cooking yourself something healthy or having something healthy at hand, you'll just run down to the cafe and grab whatever sandwich is on display, which more often than not is not the healthiest option. So how do you get around that for the busy professional to make sure that they're not having to be mired in that 7-hour meal prep every Sunday for the week kind of a thing?
So, so I can tell you now, never in my life have I done that thing of meal prepping on a Sunday. Because I guess I grew up in Asia, so I really value freshly cooked food. I cannot deal with
Mm-hmm.
like eating the same food 5 days a week. Like personally, I'm a bit spoiled like that. I don't like repeat food. So, what I do with my clients, so it depends, right? So at the moment, because everybody is lockdown, I would say I have never been healthier, right? Because I'm just at home. I have a lot more
Mm-hmm.
time and access to my kitchen. So in terms of let's do working from home first, and then we can talk about when people are back in the offices. So when we're at
Sure.
home, what I always suggest is I know people say that breakfast is not the most important thing, and certain people will prefer the intermittent fasting way of, starting their day later. However, choose which way of eating they prefer. I always like to say food is to fuel your upcoming activity. It's not to fill it afterwards. Our bodies don't work like that, right? It's like when you drive a
Right.
car, you put petrol in before. You don't fill it in after because your car's going to die, right? If you run out of gas. So I always like to suggest to people to start the day with something that's slow burning, because I know that 10 o'clock coffee is pretty inevitable, right? You maybe already have had
Mm-hmm.
2 meetings, you need a break. Um, and actually, this is unpopular opinion time, but I quite often suggest to my clients, maybe on a Sunday, maybe when you're less busy, try going a day without coffee. See where your baseline is. Because I always have to remind my clients, caffeine is not a nutrient, it's a stimulant. So it's almost like
Mm.
lying to yourself that you feel great, but actually you haven't nourished your body, right? Which means it will only last for a short period. Or sometimes I've had people come to say to me that coffee creates anxiety over time because you're constantly hyped inside, right? Chemically.
Yes.
Um, so in terms of lunch, I think lunch is the trickiest one, as you mentioned. What I often say to my clients around meal prepping, I do meal prepping differently. I prep the ingredients the day before so that when I actually have to make something, so sorry, it usually takes 15 minutes to put together and then I can eat.
Oh, brilliant.
And because people are busy, I suggest people scheduling at least a half-hour break in their work calendars. Just block it, say you're not available, right? And it might be, I guess, initially difficult to do, especially for people who are just starting out their careers, right? Because they feel like they need
Mm-hmm.
to prove something. But I always say, look, if you dare to put that boundary up, people will respect it, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying block 3 hours, for a French lunch, but I think half an hour gives yourself that space to just take a break, and also super important, do not eat al desco, meaning don't eat lunch in front of your computers. Just go on your balcony, go in a different room, go to the kitchen, whatever. Just
Mm-hmm.
leave work behind for a little bit. And also for dinner, big reminder for people, do not reward for your day. Rewards don't have to be food, right? It could be a walk with your
Right.
dog, with your partner, with your family. It could be games, anything, but remove food away from this reward system. Because, like my analogy of putting petrol in your car before you drive, you're not doing anything in the evening. Why would you have your biggest meal then? Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
and also in terms of snacks, I personally are in a position where I have my 3 meals and I don't have cravings, right? Because I eat nutrient dense food, which means my body doesn't. But for people who do want
Right.
food, Super simple trick, out of sight, out of mind. All your naughty snacks, put it somewhere away for the occasional movie night. But that's what you see first. And have things like unroasted, unsalted nuts, some candied nuts, or you know, there are so many healthy snacks that you can get from Whole Foods. And that's another kind of golden principle I have. Eat something that is as close to how it's born, basically. I don't really have like artificial foods or ingredients because I think it's just a lot more nourishing and fulfilling for the body. And it's a lot easier to stay healthy that way, right? Carrots and tomatoes don't need nutrition labels.
Right.
I'm just seeing a question there around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do we give ourselves more permission to cheat, and how can we be kinder to ourselves?
So that's a great question, right? I think giving ourselves permission to cheat already points to the fact that we are seeing that act as cheating, right? And what I say to my clients is that food is not, it's not a bipolar scale, right? Unless you are eating poison, right? Then please don't do that. But otherwise,
right.
You know, I prefer to think about food in a more functional way. So if your body wants to have a donut, you need to then think about, is it I mentally want a donut, or is my body asking for something, right? If, like you mentioned, on a Sunday, you feel like having a coffee with donut and you are fine with that decision, then make peace with yourself and have it and enjoy it. I think that's the best way to be kind to yourself. And in terms of making sure you are, by and large, still staying healthy, what I always say is, you know, this is not, you know, I don't want to talk about intuitive eating for the moment, but I am talking about trusting our intuition, right? A lot of the times we focus so much on productivity and output that we forget to listen to our bodies. And in this example of a donut and giving ourselves permission to cheat, etc., I would say, if you feel like having a donut, and then really think about, but would you want a second one? You probably won't. And that, to me, is enough of a self-regulating mechanism that you won't overeat. But so I guess what I mean is the main step is to check in with yourself when you make these decisions instead of doing it mindlessly. I think that's the kindest thing you can do for yourself, actually. To, you know, food feeds our soul, right, as well as our bodies.
Right.
And I think just looking at the comment, yeah, so the craving, I can tell you now, a lot of people crave sweet things because sugar has a dopamine effect. It's as simple as that, right? It's a chemical reaction. And, you know, sometimes when we're tired, we go to the vending machine and we get a pack of M&Ms. These are actually all signs that our body's working, right? Very naturally, our bodies will gravitate towards what our bodies don't do is have critical thinking, right? The critical thinking has to come from your brain. So, yeah, I mean, I hope that was a clear answer. I think I don't restrict my clients on anything. People are surprised when I say, yeah, if they want alcohol, go for it. But once I go through with them almost the consequence of eating certain foods, it's then with them, it's their responsibility now to make that decision, because I cannot force anyone to do anything.
And I like that around the consequences, because even just knowing that, okay, I'm craving a donut, not because I need the sugar for anything specific, but just because I'm craving that dopamine fix. Okay, well, where is that craving coming from? You know, what is causing that issue to arise? Is it that I've actually said I'm going to have this today, or is it that there's something else going on in my life and my body's going, hey, I need a dopamine to balance that out hormonally. So I actually really like that approach to it, and it's so good that you mention around the consequence, and even with alcohol, because I read an article recently by a Buddhist monk, and the question that was posed to him was, would you say that drinking alcohol should be not allowed if you're following a true Buddhist path? And he said, no, a Buddhist works on mindfulness. So where alcohol would be wrong or bad, because they don't like that term, would be if you drank it without being mindful. So you weren't mindful of what the effects would be, or why you're doing this, etc., or what your desired outcome was. If you just went along with the flow, because then you're out of mindfulness and you've now lost that ability to stay present. But if you're able to stay present, and that is the desired outcome that you're after, then sure, go for it. Why not? Do what you got to do. So
sometimes it's very easy, you know, in the land of nutrition and diets and things, also for people to be very polarized. You know, I know recently there's a documentary about, you know, the sea, and I've had a lot of people talk about, okay, I'm not going to eat fish anymore, or like they watch, you know, the Game Changer documentary and say, okay, I'm never going to eat meat anymore. And I quite often think, right, unless it is for a religious reason, right, and completely respect certain people have religious or even health reasons to stick to certain ways of eating, you need to think about your diet more holistically. If a diet requires you to then supplement externally, that diet is not perfect for you. It's as simple as that, right? Because if you need to supplement, then that isn't the perfect answer. And I think sometimes I would encourage people to try things, kind of bite onto this idea of, oh, what? I am never going to be vegan, or, oh, what? I'm never going to eat that. Think about why you're doing it from a health perspective, from your beliefs perspective. Try it out, right? Your life is a whole journey when it comes to your health. If you try to be vegan for 3 years, you don't like it, no shame in turning back after 3 years, right? I know plenty of people who've done both. And I just want people to remember that, yes, there are certain things you can't undo. For example, a tattoo or something. But when it comes to choosing what food, the most important thing, this relationship only belongs to you and your body. It doesn't belong to anyone else. Nobody on you. So you need to figure out what makes you feel the best.
For sure. Janice, I just noticed that we've actually gone over time, so my apologies. But before I let you go, I just want to first extend a huge thank you for joining us today. And we're super excited to have you on the show this weekend as well, which is going to be amazing. I'm definitely looking forward to that. The other thing I just wanted to ask was, how do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to maybe book a session or become a client of yours? How do they go about getting in touch with you?
So you can go on my Instagram profile. I've actually got a Linktree link in there, and you can see all of my different links. There is a link to book a consultation. Otherwise, the simplest thing is to either DM me or go to notadiet.co.uk, where there will be links for you to book sessions. But yeah, I'm fully reachable on Instagram.
Awesome, that's incredible. I will definitely be tagging you in this video and saving that to our profile. For those of you who joined a little bit late, not to worry, the replays will be up on my Instagram as well as on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference YouTube channel. And Janice's talk will be available on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference as well. So be sure to click through on the link in my bio. You'll be able to see not just Janice, but a few other incredible lined up. And once again, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having
Thank
me.
you. Absolute pleasure. Hope to speak to you soon. And thank you again. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.